Alrighty, Jesse, we are live on Jay Center. We have an emergency pod, and it's not the emergency pod that I think definitely not you were expecting to have, and it's definitely not the emergency pod that I was hoping to have, because we're here to break down the fact that Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette have both departed. Well, I guess Bo Bichette departs and Kyle Tucker signs with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Jesse, talk me off the ledge. What's going on here? Where do the Jays go from here? How did this happen? What do you have?
Boy, man, there is a lot to unpack over what just happened in the last 24 hours. It seemed like the Blue Jays went from being almost favorites to land one of these two players to having it ripped out from us by having the feet or the floor fall out from under our feet just like that. It's tough. It's a tough go, and it hits quite hard. One, because the Blue Jays were considered the favorites, I suppose, for Kyle Tucker for the longest time. Another reminder, I suppose, that there is no such thing as being favorites for a free agent. And then Bo Bichette, too. We kind of felt like over the last little bit wasn't coming back, but still meant so much to the city of Toronto. To see him leave and go to the Mets is not easy as well. And Owen, I was quite certain we were going to get one of these two players coming back to Toronto, and so the fact that we end up with none, it stinks.
Yeah, man, it stinks. And because me and you were on this podcast a couple of days ago, and we were talking like 75% chance for Tucker, maybe you said 80, 90, something silly like that.
Yeah.
And how could I blame you? Because at that point, all the noise was on the Mets, and like the Mets contract offers were getting leaked, and we're like, that cannot be anything but good for the Jays. John Heyman saying, oh, ex-teammates of Tucker are saying that he might prefer Toronto because it's a little bit of a quieter destination than New York or LA. And whether that's true or not, and we agree with that is one thing, because like, frankly, I probably don't agree with that. But it was good. It means like Jays were favorites to get the player. The Jays have been favorites since he visited Dunedin all the way back in December. Like all the noise all offseason was Kyle Tucker to Toronto. It seemed like a perfect fit. He fit the lineup perfectly. And it didn't end up happening. The Dodgers blow everyone out of the water. They offer him $60 million a season. The final contract is $240 over 4, and there's some deferrals in there. It gets the AAV down to like $56 million, like big difference. And everyone's kind of upset, but it's okay because, Bo Bichette's coming back, right? Wake up the next morning. I have class. I get out of class at like 11, check my phone, and Bo Bichette's a New York Met on another stupid AAV deal, and disaster strikes again. Like, what are your Bo Bichette thoughts?
Yeah, this one hurts. And like I said off the top there, it did feel like the Blue Jays and Bo Bichette were kind of distancing themselves for a while, but it did always feel like if we can't get Kyle Tucker, there's a perfect spot here for Bo Bichette. And ultimately, I don't know what the Blue Jays offer was for Bo or how serious of an attempt they made to get him back. It felt like there was always room for him on this roster, and there would be a lot of people in that clubhouse that would want Bo Bichette back. And ultimately, I think Bo Bichette just says, I'm good. I'm going to move on somewhere else. I'll take the $42 million a year that the New York Mets are offering me. I'll retest the market again in 3 seasons. And if Bo Bichette keeps playing like Bo Bichette, he'll cash in again. And then maybe we can look at a reunion at that point. But this one sucks. This one stings, especially with what he did coming back from his injuries and then having that massive hit off Ohtani in the World Series will be one of the memories we always have for Bo Bichette. So this one hurts more on a personal level, because there's we built a relationship with Bo Bichette over the years. We've seen him grow from the young man to this all-star, to this player, to this young man that he has become. And having that taken away from us now is probably what hurts the most here.
Yeah, the Bo Bichette one feels like just absolute whiplash, because I was going to bed last night and Kyle Tucker signing with the Dodgers on that contract is like, I can cope with that, because if the Jays had paid him that, sure, I would have been happy. I would have loved to see Kyle Tucker hitting in front of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for the next 8 years, 10 years, whatever it would have taken to get it done. But I can cope with the fact that they gave him $60 million to go play in LA. Like, he's in the National League. I don't have to worry about him until the World Series.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's fine. And I could cope with it because plan B was still right there, and it was Bo Bichette. And hey, Bo Bichette would have been a pretty damn good plan B if you ask me. Yeah, I would have loved to see Bo Bichette back on the team. I thought he was probably coming back. And it's just complete whiplash, because you wake up the next morning and he's immediately gone. The New York Mets panic sign him to 126 over 3, $42 million AAV with the opt-outs. Like, they gave him the deal that they had on the table for Tucker, basically, a little bit less money, but it is what it is. And it just kind of felt like the Jays were never there. They were never quite in on it. And to be honest, like now it feels like the Jays are probably going to be heading into 2026 as a little bit of an incomplete team. And that's not for me to say that's like the Jays are not a good team. I think the Jays are a very good team. I think the Jays are a 90-win team. The issue with that is, what does 90 wins get you in the AL East, Jesse? 4th place?
It'll be a dogfight too. We've seen the Blue Jays finish 4th place just a few years ago in 2021 with 91 wins, I believe it was. So it just means everything is going to happen here. And look, here's where the Blue Jays stand right now. The team, as you said, is very good. We've added Dylan Cease. We've added Okamoto. We've addressed the bullpen. We've done a lot of good things this offseason. We can't forget that so far. But what the Blue Jays really needed is another player that can raise the ceiling of this team, that could push them to 96, 97 wins to get that. Say what you want about Cody Bellinger or maybe like Framber Valdez, but even then, I don't know. It seems like we're out of that players now that can really raise the ceiling of this team, because the Blue Jays' strength is their depth. They have a lot of good pieces all around. They have a high floor. We're out of guys now that can push that team up to the next limit, and that might be a problem going into next year.
Yeah, so like signing Kyle Tucker probably puts this team in 100-win conversations entering the season, and obviously like signing Kyle Tucker would not have guaranteed that this team even won 90 games or made the playoffs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, neither of these guys would have like solidified the Jays as like the all-time great team that they could have been if they signed them. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they were the solution and like suddenly like you bring in the guys and you get a cakewalk to the World Series. It's not how it works. You still have to play the games. And that's the case now. In the Jays very much, like Chris said earlier in the chat, like, yeah, they have the second highest projected WAR in baseball still. Like, they're in a good spot. Like, they're fine.
Yes. But
they're not in head and shoulders above the rest of the American League conversations like they could have been if they had ponied up. It's just disappointing, I think is the way to say it. Like, it's the 3rd offseason in a row that we're going to be like having this conversation of the Jays couldn't get the free agent deal done. They couldn't get the top guy on the market. And it felt like this year was the year. And it sucks to see like the Dodgers get Tucker and the Mets get Bo again. Like, it feels like it's the same conversation every offseason. It's getting tiring. And I don't want this to be a like Blue Jays are done conversation. The sky is falling, because it's not. It's not. Like, but we're going to get off this call, and I'm going to be optimistic about the Blue Jays heading into 2020.
Of course. Yeah. That's what spring training is for, right? Pitchers and catchers report in less than a month now. We will be excited about this team, just like everybody else, when that rolls around, right? I will say, though, this does feel a little different than it does in the last season. Like, when Ohtani was coming through, the Blue Jays, we got used in Ohtani, right? And then there was the time where with Juan Soto, the Blue Jays were in it, but it also didn't feel like we were ever really going to be Juan Soto's team. This one, especially with Kyle Tucker, it didn't feel like the Blue Jays were the team that was being used in this situation. Like, to me, I felt like if any team was being used, it was the Mets in this one, with Steve Cohen going out tweeting, like, let me know when you see smoke, and then how all their offers got reported. I think ultimately Kyle Tucker chose the $60 million a year. It's hard to say no to that, but he chose.
Choice.
I'd take that in a second if they offered us that here. They chose the salary and the short term with the opt-outs over the long certainty that it seems like the Blue Jays were optioning. And if that was what Kyle Tucker wanted this whole time, then I don't think the Blue Jays ever had a chance there, right?
No, like, and that's why it felt like Kyle Tucker was coming here, because all the reporting was that that's not what he wanted. Kyle Tucker wanted to be done being a free agent. Apparently he didn't like being a free agent. He did not want to retest the market. Obviously, at $60 million a season, it's hard to disagree with the choice that he made, because like, even if the Jays had offered him 300 over 8 or like whatever, like, is that where we think the Jays were? Like, I have no idea, but like, that's not competitive with what the Dodgers ended up giving him. Like, it's just unfortunate. I don't even know, man. I'm upset about it. Like, I am. Like, I felt like the Jays were going to get a lot better this offseason. And I feel like the team's going to be incomplete going into 2026. And there's not much else they can do about it now, right? Because like Corey's asking in the chat, like, if the Jays should trade for Marte or Tatis. And like, yes, they should. But what are you going to trade to get that done? Do you know, Jesse?
Well, we've talked before in the past, the problem with the Jays making a big trade. Like, we've explored the Ketel Marte trade before. It's like, unless you're moving on from an Addison Barger or Trey Savage, or another team down there is just in love with Johnny King, there is not a ton in the farm system that the Blue Jays can really go for. And that's good, because the Blue Jays, have just went to the World Series. We're a good major league team. Not everybody can be the Dodgers, who also has the best farm system in the world as well, right? So that'll happen with a good team. So you're going to give up on a major league piece to get a major league piece. Now, Ketel Marte and Fernando Tatis are better players than Addison Barger. I get that. But still, you are cutting your big league team to make a trade happen. And that's why I don't think a big trade like that is in the cards. And also kind of unrelated, but we haven't made a trade yet this offseason, which seems kind of wild. So maybe there is a route there to get that done, but we will see.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was interested in hearing your thoughts on, and like, well, I wanted to pick your brain on this a little bit. Is where do the Jays go next, right? So we talked last time we did a pod. We talked about the Zips projections, and Dan Zimbrowski was really interested in the Jays going out and signing one of the top starting pitchers on the market. Obviously, Ranger Suarez is a Red Sox now, so that market's thinner than it used to be. Would you be interested in a Framber Valdez? What does that do to the rest of the rotation? Because you're already like kind of overflowing in talent in that area. That if you brought in another starting pitcher like that, would almost guarantee a Jose Barrios trade in my mind. Or does that free you up to trade a Savage for that, like Fernando Tatis, Ketel Marte trade? Like I don't really think that's realistic. I don't think the money's there. Like they're already over $300 million. I think Kyle Tucker was the ceiling raising move that they had front office permission to get done, and they couldn't get it done with the money that they had, and the Dodgers blew them out of the water. So I don't know. I don't think there are a lot of avenues to make this team better at this point in the offseason.
Right. And like I said earlier, the Blue Jays already have a high floor on their team. They need that ceiling raiser. Re-signing Chris Bassett or signing Justin Verlander to a 1-year deal isn't gonna work. It's not gonna raise the ceiling of your team. I just went, Owen, to FanGraphs free agent tracker, sorted by projected WAR for the 2026 season. The number one free agent on the list is Framber Valdez. And do you remember the thing last year with Framber Valdez where the catcher called, I think it was a curveball, he threw him a fastball, hit him in the ribs or something like that?
Well, I think Valdez didn't like the pitch call. He gave up a homer, and then the very next pitch of the next at bat, he drilled his catcher. He crossed up his catcher on purpose. That's ugly. I hate that. I genuinely hate that. I do not want that guy on my team.
And I think a lot of GMs around baseball, and especially the Blue Jays, who care so much about like clubhouse chemistry and, making sure you play ball the right way, I think that puts them kind of out on Framber Valdez. The next biased free agent is Cody Bellinger, and on paper seems like the type of player the Blue Jays would want. Play good defense, can play a little first base, hits left-handed, has some power. Sure, you could talk me into that. Then after that, you're getting into Eugenio Suarez, Zach Gallen, and then Chris Bassett. So there's nobody else really up there that would really raise the ceiling of the Toronto Blue Jays. So I think it's Cody Bellinger or bust, or you have to find a way to get creative and make a trade with maybe a player that nobody's thinking about right now.
Man, I hate the Cody Bellinger conversation. I think that's a terrible contract the second you sign it, because I can tell you what it'll take to get Cody Bellinger right now, and it's 7 years at like high 20s or 30 AAV.
Yeah,
right. Are you giving that to Cody Bellinger? Because that's what it's going to take to get him away from the Yankees. The Yankees, for anyone who's not like on Twitter and doom scrolling as much as I am, it seems like the reporting is that the Yankees are kind of hard stuck at. They're giving him the money he wants, just not at the years. He wants a 7-year contract, and the Yankees are kind of stuck at 5. So if you give Cody Bellinger that 7-year contract at that AAV, that high AAV, you can get the deal done. He will be a Blue Jay. I don't think first of all, I think for 2026, he probably helps a lot. But I think that you hate that contract just as much as you hate the Anthony Santander contract by the trade deadline in 2027.
Yeah, I'm a little more optimistic, I think, on Bellinger's future just because he has the good defense and the base running and the speed as like a fallback if the bat does go. But you don't have to look too hard at Bellinger's swing to see how there could be holes and how it could age a little poorly. But also, too, and like the Blue Jays' window to compete is the next 3, 4, 5 years. Who cares if he's bad in year 6 or 7? You move on and you can figure out another taker for that, I suppose. But I agree. I don't love Cody Bellinger just as much as everybody else. Maybe they might. It did seem like he was 4th on that list of those 4 big free agents, and I don't know, man. I think we're getting very close to. There might be a minor move here sprinkled in somewhere, but I think we're pretty close to running in the team we currently have into spring training.
Yeah, and like I said, like that's just disappointing to me. Like I think it's a very good team. I like the Jays to win 90 games next year. I don't know if they're a lock for that, but I very much like their chances. If I had to take the over under on 89.5 wins, I'm taking the over on the Jays next year.
Me too.
The issue is you play in the goddamn AL East, man, and you're gonna have to like go up against a Red Sox team that got better. You're gonna have to go up against a Orioles team that got way better, and a Yankees team that is gonna be good no matter what. Like they're bringing Garrett Cole back, like that starting rotation is gonna be a lot better. And when things are said and done, and we start the 2026 season, like I bet you Cody Bellinger's back, and that Yankees lineup is just as
Probably.
good as it was last season. And if you're forgetting, like that was the best lineup in baseball. That was the only lineup that was better than the Jays last year, was the Yankees. Like the AL East is going to be a dogfight. Oh, and the Rays are almost always a lock for at least 80 wins. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're not going to be in the basement of the AL, even if they do take a step back. So like, yeah, the Jays are really good, but I think they just didn't quite set themselves apart. And that's what's disappointing. They had an opportunity to, and they couldn't get it done. And it is what it is. It's not anyone's fault. It's not Ross Atkins' fault. It's not the front office's fault. It's not certainly not Ted Rogers' fault or Ed.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Like they're paying all the money in the world. They got the third highest payroll in baseball. The Mets just passed them by signing Bo Bichette, obviously. Like, are we serious?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like it's just like, oh man. To tie a bow on the Cody Bellinger conversation, like my issue with it is like we've already seen what the floor looks like on him, and that's a 47 weighted runs created plus in 95 games in 2021 as a member of the Dodgers.
Yeah.
He got non-tendered shortly after that, hit an 83 in the next season. Like that's 2 straight seasons, and those are like almost full sample size seasons. Like Cody Bellinger almost lost his career already. Like I know he's not the same player as he once was, and it's a different version of him, but like I really don't think like panic signing Cody Bellinger is the answer. Like I really don't want another Anthony Santander contract on the books, because I think if you don't sign Anthony Santander last offseason, you probably are in the conversation on one of these short-term high AAV deals that Cody Bellinger, or not Cody, sorry, Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette just signed.
Yeah, bingo. I think you hit the nail on the head right there. I agree with you so much. It brings me to the point, though, like, who would you rather have just next season alone, Cody Bellinger or Anthony Santander?
It's a tough question. Probably Cody Bellinger.
But I think so too.
You can't sign a 7-year contract for next season.
Yes, of course, and that you kind of have to get Cody Bellinger on your team.
Exactly.
I get that. But like the Blue Jays too, they need to address what if somebody gets hurt or what if there's underperformance, right? Because they overachieved, I'd say, a little bit to get to the 94 wins last year. We've talked about the performance Miles Straw had. Alejandro Kirk had a very big bounce back year offensively, probably towards the high end of his outcomes there. Andres Jimenez didn't bounce back all the way to like his MVP season, but he was still approaching a league average bat, which was leaps and bounds better where he was the last few years in Cleveland. So there's that. We got better performances all around. And a George Springer rebound out of nowhere basically was the reason we went from 85 to where we went to 93 wins. A lot went right for the Toronto Blue Jays in 2025. And I've watched a lot of baseball, Owen, to know that that just doesn't happen year after year. There's going to be some sort of regression. Somebody will get hurt. And if that happens, which law of averages says it's going to, then this Blue Jays could be in a tough spot. And that could really be the spot that sinks our season.
So that's the big issue, is because they really didn't insulate themselves from underperformance from really anybody that overperformed last season. Like it could be anybody. It could be George Springer coming back down to earth a little bit. He could still be good, but if he's not like a one, what was it, like a 150 weighted runs created plus?
It was 4th in baseball last year.
Yeah, like
it was
if George Springer's not that, your team already takes a step back. Your offense already takes a step back. You know what I mean? Like that's the issue. You didn't insulate yourself from that and this is another thing I want to talk about, was Kazuma Okamoto. Because Jesse, the pressure on him, and this is not it's a hockey market. We got to do it a little bit. I hate this conversation in baseball. It's not how it should work. But the pressure on him coming into 2026 is going to be so high, because if he does not perform out of the gate and the Jays maybe get off to a little bit of a slow start, like I'm telling you, like I'm not going to speak for the entire Blue Jays fan base, but I think they're going to hate his guts. Like if he just is not really productive right away. And that's a lot to ask from a guy coming over from the NPB.
Yeah, especially from a guy where it's going to be framed now. The Blue Jays couldn't re-sign Bo Bichette because you signed Kazuma Okamoto. That narrative is going to be there. And if Bo Bichette hits the ground running in New York, which he absolutely could do, then we're going to look at Okamoto, who's going through a transition phase, thinking like, oh man, it's going to be rough. I want to shoot out 2 steamer projections at you. And I want you, one of them is Bo Bichette, one of them is Kazuma Okamoto. And I want you to tell me which one you like more, okay? So player A, 251 batting average, 337 on base, 463 slug, 23 home runs, a 118 WRC plus. So that's Okamoto. And then Bo Bichette, higher average, of course, 292, 339 on base, so roughly the same, 458 slugging with 19 home runs, which also runs out to a 118 WRC plus. So context is different. You can get your production in a whole different amount of ways, but basically the projections are saying Bo Bichette and Okamoto are going to be a wash offensively. And you got to assume Bo Bichette's defense and base running has been falling the last few years, where Okamoto, that probably isn't great at either, but should hold his own. I don't know. It's the projections are saying that it's going to be pretty similar on paper.
You know what? And that actually did help me, like, help talk me off the ledge a little bit there, because I do like that. Like, I think that projection is optimistic on Okamoto. If I had to pick the over under on that, I'd pick under. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I like him as a player. I like the concept of him, but I'm going to need a little bit of proof of concept before I see that and believe it. And just, I want to see the at-bats. You know what I mean? With Bo Bichette, I know exactly what I'm getting, and that's why I feel more comfortable. I think the floor is definitely a lot higher on Bo Bichette, especially offensively. We can talk about the third base defense if you want, because that's where he's going to be playing for the Mets, which is
wild,
just so goofy. Like, so that infield is going to be Francisco Lindor at shortstop, obviously, Marcus Semien, old friend, at second base, and then Bo Bichette at third base with Jorge Polanco at first base, a position he's never played before. Like, that New York Mets infield is just going to be just weird and goofy. I think Bo Bichette's probably going to be a bad third baseman. He's a really bad shortstop and does not have the arm for third base. I think it's pretty safe to say. So, like, I think Okamoto probably a better defensive third baseman, hopefully, than Bo Bichette. So maybe you end up winning out there, and you're not asking Okamoto to do as much for you as you were asking Bo Bichette to do for you. So hey, maybe it works out. Maybe you're right. I like those projections. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about that conversation?
I'm saying this just to ease Blue Jays fans' hearts a little bit, right? To thinking it might not be all doom and gloom with us losing Bo Bichette. There are big question marks with Okamoto. Again, you're changing countries where, you don't even really speak the first language. You have to move to a new city. You have to adjust to a different style of game. Pitchers throw harder in the majors than they do in Japan. There's so much more coming out of this, right? But if you're just looking for something to hold on and to grasp onto, that's what I'm giving you.
Yeah, I agree. I really hope Okamoto performs, because I really want to like him. I really want him to be the fan favorite that a lot of people think he could be. Like, he's in that press conference, that introductory press conference, and he's got the whole Japanese media room and his translator just giggling and laughing at everything he says. And obviously it doesn't come across in translation. It's disappointing, because I want to know what he has to say. He seems like, from all accounts, a really cool dude. He was the captain of that team in Japan that was the biggest team in Japan. So he's like a real dude. Like, he is a guy. And if he is that guy for the Jays, I think it makes this a whole lot more digestible. But the issue is we're gonna have to wait to see if he is that guy for it to come true.
Yeah. And like you said, if it goes bad for Okamoto early, then this is going to be a talking point that you and I are going to have on this show all season. So there is that in mind to look forward to. There are some positives to come out of this. Like, this is a big win for Ernie Clement, for Andres Jimenez, for Davis Schneider. All three of them now are locked in. Ernie Clement is penciled in as the everyday second baseman, and Andres Jimenez is now penciled in as the everyday shortstop for this Blue Jays team. So big win for the two of them. Also, Davis Schneider now, he can get in a lot at second base the way this roster is currently constructed. So I think that is a big bonus from him. And looking even further down the depth chart, if you're one of these young guys in AAA, like if you're a Josh Kasevich or if you're a Leo Jimenez, there's still a route for you on this roster, whereas signing Bo Bichette might have taken you out of that. So shout out to those players whose stock has risen.
Yeah, I love that. I'm in on Ernie Clement 4-win season next year. I think
Yeah.
it's there. Like, so especially some stability playing everyday second base. I really like him in the super utility role, and like especially when he gets to face a lot of lefties. But he kind of doesn't really have that luxury with the way the roster's set up right now. Um, yeah, I don't know, unless you're gonna have Addison Barger play some infield, and I don't know. It's a little bit. It doesn't look as sexy as it would have with Kyle Tucker in that 2 spot. The chat
Yeah.
is super interested in Cody Bellinger, like
Yeah, as they should.
240 over 7, and like I understand why, because that's the pivot, right? That's the obvious pivot. Jesse, like 240 over 7 is what moves like Jagger is throwing in the chat here, and like that makes me sick to think about. I don't want to pay Cody Bellinger that. Do you?
Yeah, shout out to Jaromir Jagr, a great hockey player, one of the best of all time. But yes, I agree. And look, Owen, like at the end of the day, it's not our money, and the free agent group for the next few seasons is not good, right? So, like, if you think, like, say what you want about Nico Horner and Jeremy Pena, who are probably going to be the biggest free agents coming up in the next few years, like, it's not looking so hot. So you got to go out there and get your guy. And if you think Cody Bellinger can be that guy, even if it's just for the next year or two, then you got to do it, and you got to outbid him, or at least give him more years. As much as, yeah, on paper, that contract's not going to look good. At some point, you got to do it.
Yeah. You know what? Like, to be honest, if I had to make a bet and Skywalker is asking if it's true that it's Jays and Yankees, I bet you it's not. I bet you it's just Yankees. And anything you hear about the Jays is Cody Bellinger's camp trying to get that out there and entice the Yankees a little bit more to give him the extra years on the contract that he wants. I don't think those two sides are separating. I would love to see it because it'd be hilarious for the Yankees. And I think Cody Bellinger absolutely makes the Jays better. And Mantis here makes a good point that I'd agree with, is I'd rather play Barger than sign Bellinger on a stupid, crazy deal. Like,
yeah, me too.
Yeah. I think that's just the way to do it. Yeah, Yager's back in the chat, like with opt-outs after season 2 and 3, but like he's not opting out of that. Like it doesn't, that only helps the player. It doesn't help the team. It doesn't, opt-outs for a player makes a deal actually less digestible for a team to make. So no, like I understand the wanting to make the team better in any way possible. And Bellinger is now like pretty much the only obvious way to do that. I don't think it's the answer, Jesse.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Bellinger's already done the whole opt-out thing, the whole bet on yourself thing. He wants that Pete Alonso contract or the Alex Bregman one where you can just, I've done the opt-out thing, I've proved my worth, now give me that money. And that's what I think what Bellinger wants. And I think he'll take anything for the right amount. If we offered Cody Bellinger $60 million a year, he's going to take that too. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, he's already 31, man. Like, that's just not what he wants. He's not interested in that. He wants his last contract. He wants the big payday. And he's coming off like he had 4.9 wins last season. Like, he's not like, this is his big payday. This is his opportunity. Man. Where else can we go from here on the Bo Bichette, Kyle Tucker conversation? Actually, I had an interesting question for you.
Okay,
if you had to bet right now, would you, or if you had to pick right now, would you pick the 2025 AL All-Star starting lineup or the 2026 LA Dodgers starting lineup?
Wow. Definitely the All-Star team. Just Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge, Tariq Skubal mowing them down. But the fact that this is even a question is ridiculous. Like, and you know, it just goes to show how good the Dodgers team have been, right? And we can use this as kind of a stepping point to talk about the Dodgers and what it might mean for baseball, et cetera, et cetera. But they are a good team, and they are doing what every good team should do. You have the resources, you have the prospects, you've built that culture, you've got an owner who's willing to spend. If I was the owner of the Dodgers, I'd be doing the exact same thing here, getting all these players, and the players want to be here, and they win. Winning speaks, right? If the Blue Jays were able to win that World Series last year, then maybe Kyle Tucker's thinking a little different here. But no, they won. You want your ring? Go get your ring. And that's what's happening there with the Dodgers. So, but the fact that's a question is wild.
You know what? And like, I'll play devil's advocate and I'll pick the Dodgers because like I'll pick the team that doesn't start with Gleyber Torres and Riley Green as the 1 and 2 hitters,
sure,
and doesn't include Javier Baez and Jacob Wilson in the lineup. Like, I think the Dodgers, like, even if you include like Tariq Skubal starting and like Yamamoto, like it's a conversation. It's just absolutely silly. And I guess that kind of leads into the next thing. And I just want to go out on a limb and say, like, if you're a Jays fan and you're advocating for a salary cap, and I understand it's really hard watching the Dodgers do what they're doing right now. They're going to spend almost $400 million. Their team's probably not complete. Like, they might spend more than that in 2026. They're spending so much money. They're spending too much money on players. Does something have to be done to stop that? Maybe. But if you are a Blue Jays fan and you are looking at the team right now and you're upset at what the Dodgers are doing, you are not allowed to advocate for a salary cap. And if you are, it's just the wrong take, because the Blue Jays are spending the third most money in baseball on players. It's a major advantage that they have. It's the reason that they were able to field such a good team in 2024, even though they got nothing from Jose Barrios and nothing from Anthony Santander. Both guys making, well, Santander nearly $100 million, Jose Barrios well over that on big contracts. It's the reason they were able to sign George Springer and Kevin Gausman and Chris Bassett, and it's the reason they were able to bring Shane Bieber back. And oh yeah, Dylan Cease is on this team now. Like, the Blue Jays have done a ton of work in free agency. Not as splashy, not as sexy as the Dodgers have. But if you're a Jays fan, please don't be one of those people that's begging for a salary cap.
I agree. I got a lot of messages about just that. Be like, well, this is going to mean the lockout is happening. This means, bring a salary cap. Oh, and I've never, in any job ever, been upset about having the workers get more money. Like, that just seems ridiculous to me. I understand it's a lot, and I understand that some teams feel like they can't compete. You absolutely can. Every owner in baseball should be doing what the Dodgers are doing, right? And I've never, ever want to see, like, the players get capped. There is so much money in the game of baseball. I want more of that money in the players' hands than in the owners' pockets. Plain and simple. So a salary cap is exactly what the owners want, because it'll limit how much money they have to pay their players, and the owners get more money. And that is the last thing I think any of us in baseball want.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. I think if you're going to advocate for any changing of the salary structure and how players get paid, you should be advocating for a salary floor. So teams like the Cleveland Guardians have to pay more than like $80 million a season for their roster. I think that's the solution. I don't know how to do it. There's much smarter people than you and I who are getting paid a lot of money to try and figure this out and make sure we have a baseball season in 2027, right?
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say it, but that's kind of where this is heading. And like, if I had to ask you, I bet you'd probably agree that we're headed towards a lockout in 2027.
Yeah, we were good. This was going to happen ever since the COVID season and the little shutdown they had there. The only thing that's saving grace is Rob Manfred has said several times that he hasn't lost any games, which technically isn't really even correct due to a work stoppage over his tenure. And so he seems to take pride in that. So that might be the one saving grace that might prevent us from it. But baseball's relationship with the owners and the players has been messy. And I think us as fans of the games, we should all be on the player side. Every single one of us. Like, if you're the business type that wants to see business people get more money, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I hope you're not one of those people that's cheering for the billionaire owners that are trying to gouge every single penny from not only their players, but also from you. It's the reason that you have to talk to your uncle or your grandma every Friday night and they're like, where's the Jays game? I'm like, no, they're on Apple TV this week.
Exactly.
They're on Peacock or Roku or wherever. Like, that's why you're having that issue. Because the owners are being greedy. And it's why, like, more teams, nobody can do what the Dodgers are doing right now. I think they can do it because of the Shohei money. But I don't know. I think more teams could be closer to what they're doing. Thank you, Video Game Nation. We're glad we're getting across to at least a couple people here. Jesse, man, like, where else do we go from here? Like there's a lot of doom and gloom in the chat. People are like, we're going to see 2024 all over again. Like, we're not like, it's guys, the Jays are still good. They're still a good team. The offseason's also not over. The Jays are usually good for a trade. Like we saw last offseason, they pulled the trigger on the Andres Gimenez trade. Say what you want about that trade. I don't know if I loved it at the time, but it worked out last season. They traded for Dalton Varsho the year before, or was it even the year before that? I don't know, but they're usually good for a trade. Maybe we get one of those, and maybe that's how they address the lineup. I don't know, but the offseason's not done. I'm a big advocate of like addressing the bullpen and bringing Sir Anthony Dominguez back. Like, I don't know about you. I don't think the Jays are going to be bad. I think the Jays are going to be good. I think maybe they don't make the playoffs, but it won't be because of a collapse. It'll be because they won 90 games, and the Orioles won 91, and the Red Sox won 92, and the Yankees won 93. That'll be why.
Yeah, just avoid the wild card game at all costs. Like, just find a way to win that division again and get right into the AL. And yes, shout out Chase Lee. There was that, I suppose. I had one more thought I just wanted to say on the Dodgers and the big money before we move off that. If the Dodgers, their luxury tax bill is absolutely insane this year. If you take just the amount of money that they are paying in luxury tax, they would have the 19th highest payroll in all of baseball. So that was just the luxury tax bill itself. So I just wanted to throw that out there before we move on to the rest here. But yeah, I think you're right. The Blue Jays absolutely need to make a trade. And I aside from Bellinger, which we've hashed out here, I think that the trade is really the only way they can raise the ceiling of this team. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is what move are you going to do that can push this team up? And unless we get a massive breakout from somebody that none of us are expecting right now, I think that this is going to be the path they do it. And you might have to move a piece off your 26-man roster to do so. And that's the hard part, because it's hard to move off a guy who you're already protecting a lot from to make your team better. But I think the Blue Jays are going to explore that. And really, I think that's the only way we can go here.
Yeah, man. I think there's not much else. There's not much else to splash money at. And to be honest, like, I don't think there's much more money to splash around, because we know that the Blue Jays, they bring their case, and it's a business case, and they bring that to Ed Rogers. And there's not a business case out there on the market at this point in the offseason. It's disappointing. Like, I would love to just throw money at my problems all the time, but sometimes it's not how life works. You know what I mean? It's just not the way it goes. So I don't know. I think we might be in for a trade. It is interesting. Like, Corey does want to know if Hoffman is going to be the closer. He's going to start the season as a closer for sure.
Yep.
It's not going to be Rogers, but Hoffman deserves every opportunity. Like, forget the last pitch or last couple pitches he threw of 2025, but yeah, it'll be Hoffman. I don't know. Like, the bullpen is a place you can get better for cheap. Like I said, like Sir Anthony Dominguez, it's easy to make trades in the bullpen. But I don't know. I think the team is as close to compete. They're as close to complete as we're gonna get, barring one more move, maybe.
Yeah, and the Blue Jays have shown all throughout the Ross Atkins tenure that they are not afraid to address their bullpen midseason. They did it last season. They've done it in several years past. So I think Hoffman's going to be the guy to get out and start, and he will be very good. And I think Hoffman's the answer there.
Yep, absolutely. Video Game Nation, man. I love to take $500 million for Tarek Skubal. I love that. I love that.
Hey, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. I will say that.
That would be a lot of fun. If you're going to give that kind of money to a pitcher, I think Tarek Skubal is maybe a good bet, unless you want to hold off for Paul Skeens in a couple of years. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not ready to. What's that?
Get them both.
Yeah, well, both. Why not? I'm not ready to get my hopes up for another big free agent at this point. I think you and I are both kind of talked out of it at this point. Jesse, I just want to know, like, we're saying goodbye to, like, a fan favorite. Like, my little sister, 17 years old, is already texting me that she's never watching baseball again because Bo Bichette's not back. Like, which, come on, like, have a little bit of faith in my boys. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your mom and your uncle are going to be very upset that Bo Bichette are not coming back, or is not coming back. So give me your favorite Bo Bichette moment. He meant a lot to this team. It should have been Vladdy and Bo forever. I'll probably say that unless the Blue Jays win a World Series in short order here. What's the Bo Bichette? What's the lasting memory for you?
I hate that we have to have this conversation, Owen. I really do. But we always kind of felt like this was going to happen. And you're right. It always felt like it was always supposed to be Vlad and Bo together. I remember there was the photo of them, like they felt like babies. They were in New Hampshire. They were standing beside each other with Cavan Biggio, of course. And it felt like these were supposed to be the Blue Jays that were supposed to take the Blue Jays to the promised land. And sure enough, it almost happened. But I remember there was a Baseball America photo of the two of them in the minor leagues. They were sitting on top of the fence. It felt like that was always supposed to be the team. It felt like it was supposed to be Vlad and Bo forever. And now we're going through a bit of a breakout here. It really sucks. Obviously, in terms of greatest moments, there was a ton throughout the course of the seasons. His home run he hit off Shohei Ohtani in the World Series will always go down as Blue Jays lore as the biggest home run that should have mattered. That will get lost in history, unfortunately. But I want to flash back all the way to his rookie season in 2019. And this was the moment I felt like Bo Bichette is here. He has arrived. And the Jays were in Dodger Stadium facing Clayton Kershaw. And it was very early on. I remember Clayton threw Bo Bichette one of his curveballs, and you even see Bo Bichette go like, holy crap, man, like what a curveball. Wow, I've never seen something move like that before. He threw it again. He hit it 420 feet to left center field, and it was a 2-homer game he had in that day at Dodger Stadium. And at that moment, I was like, Bo Bichette is here. Let's ride in. This guy's got it and something special, and he's carried that through the course of his career as a Blue Jay. How about yourself?
Man, that's an awesome memory. That's way better than the one I have. That, yeah. As soon as you started talking Dodger Stadium, I knew exactly where you're going. And damn, dude, like that's the type of player that Bo Bichette was. Like he like would look as foolish as you've ever seen him on one swing, and then immediately take the best swing you've ever seen on the next one and hit a homer just when you needed it, like just in the biggest moment. Man, yeah, Bo Bichette's such a sick hitter, just a pure hitter. The one I have is a little bit different, and I think it kind of encapsulates the type of guy that Bo Bichette was, and how why we all loved him so much, and like how like much he like, part of my language, how much he just gave a shit about baseball and winning in the team. Like Bo Bichette, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to describe this well because it's not an in-game moment, but I remember they're in the minor league ballpark. It was either 2020 or 2021. And they were kind of going through it. They were struggling a little bit. And the camera panned to Bo Bichette, who had just like struck out or made an out. He's sitting on the bench and he's sitting beside some water bottles. And he grabs the water bottles and like picks them up and raises his fist towards them. And then there's like, no, I'm not going to punch the water bottles. And this like the pure care on Bo Bichette's face. And I know it's such like a hockey guy take to be like, oh, he just cared more and he wanted it more. But he did, man. He really, really did. And just watching him play in the World Series hurt, I think, like from start to finish of his Blue Jays career, that's exactly the type of Bo Bichette you got every day. And there was a lot of people who, hey, man, maybe they didn't think that Bo Bichette wanted to be here because he didn't have like the nicest disposition. He's not like an Ernie Clement or George Springer that's coming into the clubhouse every day with a huge smile on his face, cracking jokes. But when it was time to play the games, Bo Bichette was there, and he was playing them as hard as he could, and he wanted to win just as much as anybody. And I think that moment just kind of like that's the type of player I want on my team, and it sucks that we have to have that conversation and say, man, like Bo Bichette's not on the team.
Yeah, for a guy who was always so quiet, so reserved, always kept to himself, it had that feel of when he spoke, though, you listened to what Bo Bichette had to say. And whenever he gave you something of meaning and something of passion, took it to heart, because you can tell that Bo Bichette has sat there and has thought about exactly the words he wanted to say and the message he wanted to get across. And that is powerful in its own right.
Yeah, man. Bo Bichette's the man. Like, I'll never...
I agree.
Like, if instant standing ovation next time he's in Rogers Center. And, man, hopefully he opts out of this contract and signs with the Jays next offseason. Like, who's against that? I don't know. It's obviously reunions after time away are always tough. Like, ask your ex-girlfriend if she wants to get back together. Probably not. You know what I mean? So, like, it's always tough. Okay. But, man, Bo Bichette's the man. Should have been a Blue Jay for life. It's unfortunate that he's not. They made their choice with Kyle Tucker and they didn't pull the trigger. And I think that's why it stings as much as it does.
Yeah. And look, when we're going to see Bo Bichette jerseys at the Rogers Center for decades going forward, like Bo Bichette will not be forgotten. He's not going in the level of excellence or anything, but Bo Bichette will have his day, have his moment. He's going to be part of Blue Jays lore for a long, long, long time. Yeah,
man, as he should be. Video Game Nation wants to know what's next for the Jays. Spring training, my friend. Pitchers and catchers report February 11th. So, hey, man, I'm still hoping there's a move. I think address the bullpen, but I think this is the team we got. And hey, it's a damn good team. I'm gonna rock with this team. I don't know about you. Like, it's not over. It sucks that they're not going to be head and shoulders favorites, but they're still going to be good and they're still going to be fun. Okay, the team's good. There's a lot to be excited about going into 2026 and even well beyond that.
Yeah, and still, you got to think, too, we signed the best pitcher on the market. We signed one of the top relievers. Like, if you look at a big picture view, this Blue Jays team has done all right this offseason. Right? I think the only player we've really lost is Bo Bichette and Alek Manoah. So I think we're doing okay.
Well, Chris Bassett, Max Scherzer, Seranthony Dominguez.
Ty France, if you will.
Exactly. Yeah. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. I don't know if anyone's really upset about that.
Right.
So, like, but I think the pitching staff, like, the most of the guys you lost are pitchers, and I think between Cease, Ponce, and Rogers, you probably improved in that aspect anyways, or at least raised the floor. and I think Cease is a pretty high ceiling raiser as well. So, like, I think the pitching staff is probably better than it was at the end of 2025. And is the lineup going to be a little bit worse? Yeah. Is it going to be terrible? No.
Yep, I agree. And just I want to say too, if you're looking for like a National League team you want to follow, the Mets now are quite a good choice. One, they're kind of cursed, which is always very funny. But you've got Bo Bichette there now, and you've got old friend Marcus Semien, and the two of them apparently bonded a lot when they were here in 2021, and now they get to play together again. So if you're just watching the out of town scoreboard and wanting baseball, I think the Mets can be your team that you want to root for right now.
Yeah, man, absolutely, Jesse. This has been a really good stream. Like, I feel better now than when we started it. I don't know about you. If you got anything else, I'm more than happy to dig into it. I could talk Jays baseball and tell pitchers and catchers report on February 11th. Then maybe I need a little bit of break before games start. But I don't know. Do you have anything else on Bo Bichette, Kyle Tucker, or Blue Jays in general?
I mean, just like you, I could talk for hours, but this kind of works as our little therapy session, if you will. I'm sure as soon as we get done here, I'll think of something else. But my list of notes that I've had, we've checked them all off. I'm satisfied. And I guess, yeah, we're 3.5 weeks away to pitchers and catchers report. We're almost there.
We're going to get there. We are so close. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. The chat was bumping today. So thank you guys all for contributing to the show. Made it a lot more fun for, I think, well, definitely me, and I'm sure Jesse as well. I'm Owen Hill. Owen Hill, thank you for tuning in. And thank you for Jesse Burrell as well for joining me. And we will catch you guys next time. We had a lot of fun. Go Jays. Guys, it's going to be okay. The Blue Jays are still a good team. I promise.
Yes, me too. I echo that statement. And until next time, go Jays.